Share that with the hearing community. Please join us. See you there.
Hi, I'm Fowler. Welcome to the Shorts Festival presented by Last Train to Memphis Entertainment. This is a festival to help filmmakers get their work shown. If you are interested in entering the festival, go to the website at www.lasttraintomemphis.com and click on the festival link. Be sure to read the rules and regulations carefully. The first film is an amazing documentary that chronicles the unsung glory of the Ardent recording studio located on Madison Avenue in the heart of Midtown Memphis. The musical heritage of Ardent Studio boasts recordings from Led Zeppelin to ZZ Top. The music that was recorded through Ardent served as the marker that epitomized the social, economic, and cultural themes of that era. The film is entitled Rockumentary, 40 Years of Your Favorite Records, 1966 through 2006, and it is amazing to examine the creative work that has transpired right here in Memphis, Tennessee.
We came up with the name Ardent when we were a bunch of 15, 16-year-old kids. We didn't pay much attention to what it meant. We just thought the word sounded cool. Later on looking at the dictionary definition, it's hot, fiery, fierce, burning, passionate. So, not ill-chosen. My friends and I were fascinated by radio. We would listen to out-of-town stations when we could. We listened to WLS, WABC. The in-town station that we listened to was WDIA and WHBQ, where Dewey Phillips was. There were actually 3 conspirators in this crime. Besides myself, there was John King and Fred Smith. We were fascinated with radio and the idea of having a radio station. We, in fact, had a little pirate radio station. Fortunately, it was low power and we were lucky not to be arrested. That interest in radio, the music that was being played on the radio, and in electronics, it led to the idea, well, you know, if we can do radio production, maybe we can actually record music. Originally, the studio was configured more or less like a radio production studio, but there was a large enough room that you could set up microphones and record a band. Some of the first victims were our friends who had bands in high school or junior high school. They would become the guinea pigs for our recording experiments. And there was a horn band that was very popular on the college circuit called the Ole Miss Down Dudes, and we issued a couple of singles on them. My dad was in the building material business, which is pretty far removed from music. And you would ordinarily, I think, expect most parents to be sort of opposed to this. You know, who's staying up late, who's hanging out with musicians, what is this loud noise that coming from these bands? But strangely enough, they were supportive. And the general routine was, you can do anything you want to, just do it well. The next step in the garage saga was meeting Jim Dickinson. I met Jim through a guy that worked in music stores named Bobby Fisher. And Bobby had come across a local band, and he introduced me to Jim Dickinson with the idea that maybe Jim would work with him. They originally had another name, but Jim made up a new name for them, Lawson and Four More.
A rich man can give you diamonds.
We began recording them while we were still in the home studio and continued to record them when we moved into our first commercial premises on National Street. I'm not a person who believes in coincidence, okay? It just so happened that the keyboard player in Lawson and Four More was Terry Manning. The thing that occasioned our move from the home studio to a commercial building was the fact that my parents had decided to sell that house, and at that point I'm having to make the decision whether this is a hobby or is this something I'm at least going to give a try as a professional career. I chose the latter, and we went out looking for a building. The year for our move to National was 1966, so I would have been 21. I wish I could say we had a real business plan. The business plan was, we're going to try to make a pretty nice studio over here and maybe things will work out. Jim Dickinson was sort of producer in residence, and Terry Manning became the first engineer other than myself. At the time, the Batman TV show was coming out, and Jim had heard a promotional announcement that the network was running before the first show ever aired, and he could make out a little bit of the music in it. And he said, you know, we need to do a Batman song.
A strange signal flashes across the midnight sky, striking fear into the hearts of every evildoer.
Batman. One last thing, darling.
The neat thing about some of this that I've experienced is the multi-generational nature of the thing. Jim Dickinson was producer in residence. Today we're recording his sons in the North Mississippi All-Stars. In 1966 and 67, we were recording Sid Selvage. Today, his son Steve Selvage plays guitar on most of our records that are released on our label. There's something about that that makes it worthwhile. My first connection with Stax was 14, 15, 16 years old, going down to the satellite record shop. They would get the good stuff first that the suburban stores would not have. I'm not sure I even knew that there was a studio. The professional contact with Stax began as we were building the studio on National. A fellow walked in one day and his name was Welton Jatan. He said, you know, we heard you were building a studio. This is an input module that we're building for a console that we're furnishing to Stax. We ordered a console using the same components, amplifiers, equalizers. At the same time, we purchased our first multi-track machine beyond a stereo machine. We thought we'd died and gone to heaven. We've got 4 whole tracks. Weldon told the people at Stax, hey, I'm doing a console for these Ardent people. If you need to do some extra work, you probably ought to go over there because they're going to have similar equipment and there are people over there that know what they're doing. It's amazing that they trusted us. I was 21 and I looked like I was about 16. I knew what I was doing, but there was absolutely no reason for anybody to think that I knew what I was doing. But I went from being in a home studio to, wow, we're recording records by artists we've heard of that actually get played a lot on the radio. That was a cool thing, but you realize pretty quickly, hey, there's responsibility that goes along with this role. There was a fellow named Don Nix. He had played in the original Marquees. He played baritone sax. One of the people that he went out on tour with was Leon Russell. And, you know, he was telling Leon about the studio, and one of our first high-profile clients to come from out of town was Leon Russell. Terry Manning had become acquainted with Jimmy Page because the Yardbirds came to Memphis a number of times and played. Terry kept in contact with him, and when they did the Led Zeppelin III album, Terry persuaded them to come to Ardent. There's nothing that makes people aware of you as much as a little tiny credit on the back of a record that does well. Between the work that we were doing for Stax and these other high-profile projects, the word was starting to get around.
I keep thinking about the night in Memphis. I thought I was in heaven.
ZZ Top came to Memphis frequently to play. Terry Manning made their acquaintance. With their second album, they started recording at Ardent.
Of an invisible 7-Eleven.
In the early 70s, Stax was expanding rapidly, and they decided that they wanted to create something that would be a rock brand. Al Bell talked to us about the idea of Ardent becoming that label. The very first artist on the Stax distributed Ardent label was a band from Oklahoma called Cargo. The second release was by a band called Big Star. Back in the 60s, Dan Penn was the producer of the Box Tops, in which Alex Chilton was the lead singer. The first song that he did at Ardent was Cry Like a Baby. And the first time I ever saw Alex was when he was sitting on the floor in the control room waiting to do his vocals.
The nucleus was Chris Bell, Andy Hummel, and myself, and Alex was making a move from New York back to Memphis, and when Alex joined the band, it then became Big Star. At that point, John Fry said, hey, wait a minute, you know, I've been thinking about putting a label together. He went over and talked to Al Bell and put that relationship in place for distribution by Stax. The first record came out and got a lot of press, and we did a little touring and played Max's Kansas City, and then everybody kind of lost interest.
It got tremendous reviews in the rock press, and it got played a lot on the rapidly growing numbers of FM stereo rock stations, which unfortunately had very few listeners.
Chris Bell quit the band. Andy quit just after the making of Radio City. And then Alex and myself decided to do another record with Jim Dickinson producing.
The recording process was extremely long. It involved lots of different genres, tempos, instrumentations.
It was recorded in '75, but wasn't released until '78. That's because nobody would touch it. It's a dark, kind of depressing revelation of a time.
The demise of Stax had terrible ripple effect consequences. It certainly deprived us of a major customer. But a lot of your friends didn't have jobs anymore. There were some times there in 1976 where I was saying to myself, you know, is this time to just chuck this? Not all of the artists and producers found it necessary to leave town. Alan Jones, the longtime producer of the Barkays, stayed on. The Barkays moved to Mercury Records, and Alan started recording the Barkays here and then started a production company to which he signed a number of other artists. People were picking up some of the pieces. 2 and then ultimately 3 engineers who had worked at Stax started to work actively for us. William Brown, Robert Jackson, and Henry Bush. And much later on, Ron Capone. Some of the Stax writers stayed around, Homer Banks, and they were producing Jay Blackfoot and some other artists. The U.S. bankruptcy court was selling all of Stax assets. And Stax had had a fine mastering department and a good mastering engineer, Larry Nix. And we got the idea, well, let's not let this thing leave Memphis. Let's see if we can buy this, and let's see if we can hire Larry and start a mastering department. And that's what we did, and Larry was originally Ardent Mastering. He now operates it as L. Nix and Company, along with his son, Kevin. We started a production company to look for some projects and artists that we could develop. We found a wonderful little band called Tora Tora. A&M and Virgin started a bidding war over that band. I actually didn't like it. I just wish they'd stop and behave.
In 1987, I had graduated from what was then Memphis State and had a marketing degree and put a resume together and put John Fry down as a reference, and so I called John.
I said, well, you know, we are without somebody to do some of the things with our production company and some of our marketing of the studio. Why don't you come work for us?
John Hampton and Keith Sykes were developing John Kilzer, and that was my first artist to shop. It was the first artist that I got placed with a major label too, and that was Geffen.
We want people to know who Alex is, who never heard of Big Star. He's a great songwriter, and he's influenced me.
To have a band like the Replacements who wrote a song called Alex Chilton, that was a really good experience and a great welcome back.
The Replacements were another Jim Dickinson production of a different decade, and it did start considerable alternative activity around Memphis.
If you're a fan of rock and roll, even if you haven't heard of Big Star, you owe them, because I guarantee you, any band that you like did hear of them and listen to them and do their best to do as well as they did. It gives me a huge amount of pleasure to present Big Star.
REM is one of the bands that acknowledges a Big Star influence. One big highlight of the late 80s would be the REM Green album, recorded and mixed in Studio A. When Tora Tora was signed to A&M Records, the A&R contact was a young man named Brian Huttenauer, and he had signed another group from Arizona called the Gin Blossoms.
Tell me, do you think it'd be alright if I could just crash here tonight?
He called up one day and said, I've had these guys with another producer, we've done 6 songs, it just hasn't worked out, and we've used up a lot of our budget. I'd like for John Hampton to take a try with these guys. Here's what I've got left in the budget, and you think you can give me an album for that? I said, yeah.
The Gin Blossoms were one of those projects where I walk into the studio and think, wow, this is something special to me.
Jimmy started recording here first when he had the Fabulous Thunderbirds. Jimmy had this whole thing about the vibe of being in Memphis. He just felt like if he was in Memphis, that he was going to have a creative energy that he wouldn't have if he were somewhere else. Stevie Ray came and did a solo album that was produced by Nile Rodgers, and then he and Jimmy returned to do the Family Style record, the last record that Stevie recorded. I became a Christian at the end of 1978. One of the first Christian rock bands was a band called DeGarmo and Key, and they lived in Memphis. They always had these tiny budgets, and I said, well, one of the first things I can do is maybe I can support this Christian music. We started recording a lot of contemporary Christian projects. By that time, Eddie DeGarmo, who had been in DeGarmo and Key, was a partner in Forefront Records, which was becoming very successful in this field. He said, why don't we do a joint venture? The first Big Tent record went right to #1 on the Christian radio charts. Our second artist was Skillet, their first record in the mid-90s. It was really aggressive for Christian rock music. 10 years later, we're still issuing Skillet records. And they have a new album out now called Comatose. Just this week, the first single went to #1 on the Christian rock radio chart. When Jack White came to Ardent, he came to work with John Hampton. The tape format for the White Stripes album that he mixed here was 8-track analog. When I first heard that we were going to have to rent 8-track heads, I said, this is a gimmick. But I came to the conclusion, if it's a gimmick, it was a good gimmick, limiting what you had room to do in a positive way. John Hampton received a Grammy Award, Best Alternative Album, for mixing a project from 8-track analog. The Raconteurs, again, 8-track analog. You know, I love new technology. Just because you've got it, it doesn't mean that you need to use all of it all the time. When Fox came up with that '70s show, the music supervisor decided that the tune that typified the '70s was In the Street off Big Star's first album. Big Star is still a performing entity today. We talk about Jody Stevens working at the studio. His other occupation is drummer in Big Star.
We're all right.
One of the things that kind of irritates me is that these people outside of Memphis think that, oh, well, there were great musicians in Memphis, but they're all dead. We did a record on Cat Power, and they used Memphis musicians extensively.
Yes, I was July. you were sworn.
We have some of the best studio musicians and singers in Memphis still right now today. It's unfortunately one of our best kept secrets.
Life beating high, the anchor to a ship so warm.
If you had several years ago said that 2 locally based films were going to go to the Sundance Film Festival and win, most people would say, well, you're just dreaming. The best friend that music has is a healthy film industry. In a single year, we had 3 music-themed films shot in Memphis. The score for 2 of those, Hustle and Flow and 40 Shades of Blue, was recorded in Memphis. Music is emotional communication. If it doesn't move you to do something, you know, be happy, be sad, contemplate, then it isn't any good. I have seen enough letters and emails from individuals who say that their lives were profoundly affected by hearing a particular song at a particular moment or crossroads in their life. And, you know, that's worth getting up in the morning for.
It ain't over for me, no it ain't over for me. Keep flowing. I'ma step my game up and get what's coming to me. Keep hustling, keep on hustling. It ain't over for me, no it ain't over for me. Keep flowing. I'ma step my game up and get what's coming to me. Keep hustling, keep on hustling. It ain't over for me, no it ain't over for me. Keep flowing, keep on flowing. I'ma step my game up and get what's coming to me.
Rockumentary, 40 Years of Your Favorite Records, 1966 through 2006, was directed by Larry Nager, former reporter for the Commercial Appeal. Mr. Nager has an impressive musical documentary resume, including directing and producing the short films Pioneering Female Songwriters and The Hits That Made Nashville, both of which are slated for the Gibson Museum. He is also the author of Memphis Beat, a book that includes the questions and interviews Mr. Nager conducted while working on the award-winning documentary Sounds of Memphis. The next film is an award-winning short from Ken Axmaker. After taking a 6-year hiatus from filmmaking, he returned to find that the independent film world had changed to a digital format. Man-Tute was Axmaker's first experiment with a new medium, a short that depicts the often stressful situations that come when a good friend goes through his midlife crisis. Man-Tute represented Memphis on opening night at the Script-to-Screen Film Festival, and it took home one of the top prizes for Best Narrative Comedies at the event. The comedy proves that a midlife crisis can cause one to go after illusions of grandeur, even bizarre ones. Here we have Man-Tute.
What in the hell? Ed, hey, come on in. Has it been a month?
Yeah, something like that.
Would you get another car?
Yeah, I did.
Sit. So, can I get you a drink?
Scotch and water.
Scotch and water. It's a little bit early for that, isn't it? Scotch and water it is. So how's business? Staying busy with the law firm?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, busy as hell.
Good. How are Jill and the kids?
Oh, great. Little Jimmy's playing soccer, and Sally and Marcy growing like weeds.
Y'all have to come by sometime this week and visit. Maybe at some of Jill's famous pork chops.
Yeah, sometime soon.
So, what are you doing here during the middle of a work day?
Well, I'd like to get your advice and ask a big favor.
Sure, anything for you, Ed.
Well, I'm considering a career change.
A what? A career change? I mean, leave your law firm? Why? What are you going to do?
Well, I'm just tired of being a lawyer, Jim, and it's not fulfilling, and I'm not happy.
You spent so much time in school and climbing your way to the top. And now that you're there, you're going to leave?
Well, it's just time for a change.
So, what are you going to do?
Well, I want to be a male prostitute.
Prostitute? Man, you had me going. That was a bad joke. You're not joking, are you?
No, I'm not.
A male prostitute? What are you, nuts? Where did this come from?
Well, I just wanted... Well, I like sex, and I like making people happy. And I thought to myself, you know, what's the perfect job where I can do just that? Male prostitution.
People don't dream and strive to be male prostitutes. They dream and strive to be doctors, astronauts, a lawyer, anything but a prostitute. Did you hit your head? Are you feeling okay?
Jim, I'm feeling fine.
What does Jill think about this?
Well, she wasn't too hot on the idea at first, and she stormed out of the room and told me I could do whatever the hell I wanted to, but when I start making some serious cash, she'll come around. Heck, I might even bring her into the business. We'll be the first husband and wife prostitution team.
Did I just step into another dimension or something?
Come on, man, be happy for me. I'm finally doing something that's meaningful, and I'm really making other people happy.
So what are you going to do to get customers? Stand out on the corner of Summer Avenue in a tank top and a Speedo?
No, man, I'm classier than that. I got an ad running in a couple local papers.
An ad? You're already advertising?
Yeah, well, I started it yesterday. I haven't had too many calls, but I got paid. Hold on just a second. Man-Tutes, if you have an itch, we're here to scratch. No, ma'am, I do not have a handicap-accessible vehicle, but yes, ma'am. Well, I could do that. Okay. Well, how old are you? Wow, 86.
86?
You want me to bring a what? Sure, I could do that. Wow, you're a kinky little thing, aren't you? Oh, you're not that little. You weigh 280.
280 pounds.
Sounds fun. All right, I'll schedule you in, Miss Beatrice. Okay, and you live at 1218 Oakville. All right.
Idiot.
Sounds great. Well, I'll see you tomorrow night. Bye.
You're going to be sleeping with a 280-pound, 86-year-old handicapped woman.
Yeah. It's my first customer. Man, you should have heard some of the stuff she wants me to do. That sweet old thing.
I'm just flabbergasted. I mean, why would you want to do this with these pitiful old women? I mean, you are just doing women, aren't you?
Well, you know, I've thought about it, and if a good-looking guy with the right amount of cash, well, who knows? I mean, if I just do women, I'm eliminating half of my potential clients.
If you need cash, I can let you borrow. Hell, I'll let you have it. I mean,
Jim, it's not the money. It's the whole fulfilling your life thing. Hey, hold on just a second. Man-Tutes, If you got an itch, we're here to scratch. Yes, sir, you have the right number. Well, I've mainly been trying to stick to female clients, but... Oh, well, that sounds painful. That's a lot of money. I tell you what, if you're making it even grand, you got a deal. Great. Then it's a deal. All right. Well, what's your name? Vernon? And you live at... Great. No tomorrow night. I'm already booked. Tonight? Sure. Do I need to bring anything? Oh, you already got everything you need. Okay, well, I'll see you tonight.
Are you insane? You're not gay.
I know that, but he doesn't. Jim, I'm just trying to fulfill a fantasy.
I don't know what to say. What was the favor you needed?
Oh, thanks for reminding me. You remember that jacket that you wore at our last Halloween party? When you came to our party as a pimp?
The coat of many colors?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I'll get it. Sounds like you're gonna need it.
Great. That coat would be perfect for the job. I'll definitely be pimping.
Here.
Thanks, man. I'll bring this back later.
No, keep it. I don't want it back. Sounds like you'll get better use out of it than I will.
Well, that's nice of you, man.
No problem.
Well, I better scoot. Gotta get all lubed up for tonight. Hey, maybe sometime down the road I can bring you into Man-Tutes.
I don't think so.
Actually, there is one other small favor I'd like to ask of you.
What?
Well, I'm not gay, and I know you're not gay. And I've never done any gay things before. But I was kind of wondering if maybe I could try some gay stuff on you and you could tell me if it feels good. I just want to make sure I'm doing it right and, you know, not going in cold turkey.
Get out of here. I mean, you're nuts. You need to see a psychologist, a psychotherapist, a something.
Jim, come on. What the hell am I going to do now? Excuse me, sir. Can I get you to do me a favor? Can you do me a favor?
Since Man-Tute, Ken Axmaker has gone on to direct A Waste of Oxygen, the feature film Service with a Smile, and most recently, Bad People. You can see these films and more at the website under the Memphis Uncensored page. The next film is an experimental short that portrays an emotional artist whose work conjures up suppressed memories of his past. The very work that inspires the artist is the same catalyst that torments him. Here's the film, Friction.
nice turnout, don't you think?
Yeah, I suppose.
Make sure you talk to the media.
I don't know what to say.
Just talk to them, be friendly. That guy coming this way is an art critic, and I want you to talk to him, and I want you to be polite. I need to go see Miles.
I'm Lawrence Dasno. I really love your work. It's so... well, you know. Well, you should know. You made it. You did, didn't you?
What was your name again?
Lawrence Dasno, art critic for Art Scene. So, where do you find your inspiration?
Art Scene. My inspirations? It's kind of complicated.
So how is your next project coming along?
Are you married? Are you gay?
What exactly is that thing that you call sculpture?
So, Sam, tell me who you are.
Hi, I'm Marilyn Tucker, Sam's agent. Are you enjoying the exhibit?
Yes, it's very, interesting.
Oh no, here comes Neil.
Hey, Sam. Who's your girlfriend?
Shut up, she's not my girlfriend.
Tell me to shut up, you little squirt.
Can't you just leave us alone, you dork?
Your little girlfriend's got that care of you, huh, you little wimp?
Let's just go.
Oh, where do you think you're going?
Away from your ugly ass.
Look, little girl's gonna go cry?
I'm not crying.
You little faggot you are too. Have a good time playing, girls.
Jack! You okay, Sam? Claudia, why are you always drawing hands and people?
I'm practicing the things I have difficulty with. I'm practicing the things I have difficulty with. I'm practicing the things I have difficulty with.
Sam, are you all right? Now's as good a time as any for your performance.
What are you looking at? Hell are you looking at? What?
Sam, you're crazy! Woo, you're gonna kill yourself! But let me make sparks! Great, sparks! Now get in the car!
It works.
It works?
Yeah, it works. It makes sparks.
Can never have too many sparks. So you think just because it makes sparks, somebody's gonna buy it?
Who says I'm gonna sell it?
Well, isn't that the point?
I suppose. I don't know.
So, well, does it at least mean something? I mean, tell me you're more of an artist than that. It does mean something, doesn't it?
Yeah, it means something. Can't you see it? It's all right there. It's all right there in front of you, idiot. Man, this hurts. Man, this hurts.
I'm just going to play tennis and hang out with some friends.
I know, it's just that East Hampton's such a meat market.
It is not. It's just a bunch of people hanging out.
Well, I just wish you didn't make so many weekend trips.
I work hard all week long. I need to get away and see my friends.
I know, but we're engaged. I'd like to spend time with you, too.
We're usually working on the weekends anyway.
And I come home at night.
And I'll be back on Sunday. Sam, can I borrow your razor? I can't find mine.
What?
Can I borrow your razor? Where do you keep it?
What will I shave with?
We'll use the electric one.
The electric one doesn't give a close enough shave.
Just for a couple of days, you can manage.
Okay, but I have a confession to Nick. I hid it from you. But I'm coming clean now.
You hid your razor from me? Why didn't you just tell me not to use your razor?
Because I was afraid you'd make a big deal over it, like you are now. But I'm telling you now.
What else are you hiding from me, Sam? How am I to enjoy my weekend?
Just a second.
What else?
If you leave like this, don't come back.
Are you kicking me out?
I didn't say that, but if you're not gonna listen to me or talk to me, I don't want you living here.
I can't believe you're kicking me out.
Lori.
I'll be back after the weekend to get my stuff. And you owe me $100 for the marriage counselor.
Maybe I was wrong too, but I wasn't ready for you. I wasn't ready. Sorry I haven't been here in a while. Sometimes I imagine that I can change what happened.
Claudia, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Would you get lost? I'm trying to cook.
What are you making?
Eggplant parmesan.
I hate eggplant.
What is the matter with you? Why are you being such a pest? Why are you being such a pest?
She's gonna cry.
I'm sorry I can't cry, Claudia.
Stay away from me. I'm not talking to you. Stay away from me. I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. Stay away from me. Stay away from me. Stay away from me. I'm not talking to you.
I wish that wasn't the last time I ever saw you. Please, forgive me. Bye, Claudia.
Let's go, Sam.
Wait a minute.
Sam.
Here, take this. Be careful. It hurts.
David Liban, the director of Friction, was a film instructor at the University of Memphis during the making of the film. Friction was shot in 1996, and Liban has since transferred to Denver to continue working as a college professor and independent film director. Thank you for joining us for the Monthly Shorts Festival. Once again, if you would like to submit a film, go to lasttraintomemphis.com and click on the festival link. If you have a band or a song you would like to play on the ending credits, look for the separate section on the rules labeled for musicians and send us a CD. To close the show tonight, we have No Big Deal, performed by Jay Ruffin from the CD Skeleton Key. Also, check out the bonus music video from Rusty Lemon featuring the song If It's Over. Thanks for joining us, and remember, support local film and keep independent film alive.
There's trouble on my mind. Don't know why I feel this way. But if you're so inclined, I'll see you there again today. You opened up your heart. That's a place I don't belong. It doesn't seem so smart. We both know that we're wrong. I should leave you here, turn back around, and keep driving on. it makes you feel so all alone. So you stirred up our old flame, and I played right along. You say you feel no shame, 'cause he's the one who did you wrong. I shouldn't leave you here, turn back around, keep driving on to my part of town. We can't hide our love like it's no big deal. No big deal. I shouldn't leave you here, turn back around, keep driving on to my part of town. We can't hide our love like it's no big deal. No big deal. Did you ever feel that I was lost in you? Without giving in, there's nothing left to do. I never knew that holding on could be so far away from everything that I believed would come along the way. So if it's over, let me know.
Tattoo? What are you talking about?